That was more
Dude,
like a Jesus take the door.
That is
oh, it was.
probably the most impressive story I've ever heard.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 4 of Drag Racing Friends. Somehow, we have made it through 3 episodes and are still convincing good people like Tyler Crossnoe to come do our show. This week, I have an awesome co-host, Damon Stanky, who also is going by Brian Loans this week on screen, and I'm totally okay with that because he is a much prettier version. This week, we are going to talk about things that are near and dear to my heart. We are talking about Radial Racing, we are talking about 10.5 Racing, and we are talking about Pro Mods. But I am not the only one that loves all of them, but I am also one of the guys that will get argued with most when I bring up how awesome all of them are, because people love Radials, they love 10.5, or they love Pro Mod. But the truth is they are all great drag racing classes. But we're going to hear from the experts as to why theirs is better than the other. Damon, you're a fan of all three, but I know you really do love your Radial Racing. So do you lean one way or the other, or are you good with all three?
If you made me pick one, it would be Pro Mod because the side by side racing, and it's been shown over and over again, is better in Pro Mod than it is in Radial because Radial has turned into a fucking home run contest, and that's all it is.
You know, it's awesome that you say that because I love radial tire drag racing, but I've always said that there are guys that go out there and try and qualify and then want to be a home run hitter in every round. And if they somehow put together a string like the home run derby, then they're good. But if they go up against a guy that gets down the track A to B every time, even if he's a tenth slower or 2/10 slower, that guy sometimes is winning the rounds that you don't expect because the home run hitter whiffs the thing. So, you know,
Yep.
and I'm with you. They're fans of radial tire drag racing are fans of it because they're invested. They really know it. They know the players. They understand what's going on with Mickey Thompson drag radials and tons of glue on the racetrack. But the casual observer who has not been around it sometimes has a hard time watching it because it does take so much for guys to get down the racetrack. If it's bad, sometimes you could have a round where, you know, 2 or 3 out of 20 cars makes it down, and that is not fun to watch.
No.
This week we have some interesting guests. We're going to talk to a Pro Mod racer. We are going to talk to a 10.5 racer. But our guy that is with us the entire show is none other than Tyler Crossnoe. And Tyler, welcome to Drag Racing Friends.
Man, I'm glad to be here. Thank you, fellas.
You know, you and I have known each other for a while. You know, I think very highly of you. We've worked together at a bunch of different races. You are very well known for being a racetrack prep guy. And, you know, there's all different prep that goes into a racetrack based on the tire that is being run. Arguably, the most challenging and one of the most labor-intensive preps is radial prep. You're known really well for it, and that's why you love radial tire drag racing. We are going to dive deep into that. We're going to want you to give us your opinion, tell us why radial racing is the best and why that track prep is so important. But before we get to that, we have to start with something fun. So we are going to start with our insanity segment. I have sent you the link to the YouTube video. Let's click and watch this thing, and then all of us are going to comment and laugh or cry after we see it.
Muscle car mayhem presented by Holberg Racing Engines.
Oh! Party foul! Oh.
Left turn, Clyde.
Big time problem. Oh, man, as Morris went across, and great job by Ray for getting that car stopped.
Dude, here's the thing about that video. Most people would look at that and go, oh my God, he lost it, you know, sliding around on the racetrack. What broke that car was too good a prep. That thing broke an axle because the racetrack was so sticky and he had so much horsepower. As a track prep guy, Tyler, does that make you all proud when you're like, we're breaking axles?
Man, as bad as you had to, you never want to see somebody break their stuff. Like that's like the the devil's advocate thing. But
Right.
You do if you're a photographer.
when you're the track prep guy, you're like reaching in your back pocket and you're going, check. That's another tally mark. Put that back in the pocket.
Another axle broken.
Bam! Got it. It's like, oh.
Hey, Chad, don't let Tyler lie either, because he's been on the wall. He knows how to take photos, and he knows damn good and well he likes it when shit breaks when he's behind the camera, too.
Now, that is true. You are a man of many talents most people don't realize. I mean, if you follow you on social media, you know that you track prep, you mow lawns, you paint buildings.
All right, so I've told people for a long time, and everybody's like, dude, you wear too many hats, blah, blah, blah. I said, look,
Right.
could be a jack of all trades and a master of none. I said, look, as long as I'm a jack of all trades, there's one trade that if something ever goes haywire, you can master and move on with life.
Good point.
Like, you know what? As
right?
long as you can do a lot of stuff, you've always got an option. But
something, yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, a haircut is not an option.
It's horrible.
Now but you, dude, you're always dirty hippie hair.
Yeah, it's
Come
pretty
on.
bad. Once I moved over here in Virginia, I'm like, you know what? I can get a haircut, look normal. You know, you kind of like got to look presentable. And then this whole COVID crap comes in the game, and I'm like, yeah, back to my homeless state. Yeah, Damon did the 99-cent.
I know.
Damon, the only thing Damon paid for in his haircut was the shipping to get the box to the house.
Yes, exactly.
I didn't even pay for that because I drove my ass to Walmart and picked it up myself.
Nice. So tell me, Tyler, you know, you've been around radial tire drag racing for a long time. You are most well known in the world as the track prep guy, but the truth of the matter is you've been racing for a very long time as well. You have an awesome car. The Camaro is beautiful. It is stunningly beautiful, and you know I'm a 69 Camaro guy too, so that's another, connection we have. Shove it up your ass, you Ford prick.
And a Ford too. I was a little off there for a little while.
I know, but that's okay. But what is it about radial racing from a prep perspective and from a race perspective that just does it for you? Why is it the best thing?
I've been around like the sport of drag racing since I was born, way back when, and well, not way back when, but like, maybe like
yeah, he's 12
skips and jump back then. Let's go with that.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll be honest, it's kind of funny now when you look back on it. The first radial race I ever went to that I kind of got the fever with was Donald's race. My dad and I went down in 2011 and went down, knew nothing. I mean, we didn't know anybody, didn't know anything. We watched a couple of YouTube videos and said, man, that's cool, let's go. We went down, drove. He had a job where he couldn't get off work. So we left his job Friday at whatever time, hightailed it to South Georgia, drove the whole way there all night long, pulled in the gate, got our tickets, went in, watched on Saturday, got up on Sunday, drove all the way home because he had to be at work at 2:30 in the morning on Monday.
Oh, okay.
So it was like a jump in a truck, drive 12 hours, watch a race for a day, and turn around and drive back 12 hours. But just that one little bit, we were like, we can do this at home. I mean, we lived 10, 12 hours from South Georgia. At that time, it was really the only show tailored around radial racing. At that point, I was working at Holly Springs, and that was where I really got my start as a promoter in small tower stuff. Was the very first, what was the first race? Spring Shootout, and then Fall Brawl. And we did those in April of 2012 and October of 2012. And that was my first go-around as a promoter. At that race, my weekly job at the racetrack was assisting with prepping a racetrack. I was, at the time, barely 20. No, I was still 19 at the time. I was helping prep the racetrack. I was still learning kind of how does this work, that kind of stuff. Ran the computer and announced all it.
Right.
That was my weekly job. And I can remember we rolled in the whole barrier in radial racing at the time, which it seems like radial racing is barriers. Like, really don't care who wins the race, but who went low ET. The barrier at the time was the 420.
Right.
There had been a number of 431s, 433, that kind of thing. And I always said, you know what, we had a good racetrack down there. We could have a chance if the weather was good. Well, the weather was pretty decent. Wasn't like home run derby. It's like snowing. It wasn't killer, but it was solid. And
Right.
first day out, we were like 4 hours into testing, and Kenny Hubbard and Kevin Fiskus back to back, both of them went 420s. First time ever, they rolled right back around a couple hours later, did it again, and that was kind of the all right. I think I kind of can like maybe I can make a home here. Maybe I've got something to grow on. And 2013, I branched out of Holly Springs, went to Memphis as an individual promoter. I did a 1 day event there on Memorial Day weekend. 2014 rolls around. That's when the Outlaw Streetcar Reunion started. That's when kind of my name kind of started building. Reputation started growing a little bit more.
Right.
I worked with VP Racing Fuels for a year on the track side. Really learned the track prep, what it takes for the radial even more than what I do at Holly Springs, and then it just started spiraling from there. But OSCR was kind of the start of really I guess you would say the rise, so to speak. Really special race for me. Hated to not do it this year, but that was kind of in my mind, that was kind of the first step to my career in drag racing, was that event.
You know, I've announced so many drag races, as you know. I've helped promote drag races, been a part of the track staff at some level or another at a lot of different events. There's something satisfying about, helping to produce the event, right? As many events as I've covered and videoed and participated in and all those things, and those are all amazing things to do. It's different from the back end of the thing, right? From putting on the event or helping run the event. And it's cool to see how much fun everybody is having and to be able to give them that. For you, what's the difference for you from the prep side versus the promotion side?
The paycheck.
I'll be honest, paycheck's a little bit better. Paycheck's actually sometimes better on the prep side than it is on the promotion side. The thing for me is you go out and you work tirelessly to put all the elements of a race together. For a long time I was bad about trying to wear too many hats at the race. I always felt like I couldn't trust anybody, and I'll be honest, for the longest time I had so many people that I trusted that couldn't pull it off or lost my trust or anything like that. Well, then I was like, well, I worked for 11 months and however many days. Why am I going to let you fail and mess me up? And for the longest time, I fought that. That was probably the biggest fault of mine, growing into the role that I am now, is not trusting people. And finally, I got to a point with that event where I was like, you know what, we've done well enough in the first couple of years. Now we can start bringing in a little help here, a little help there. Brought in TJ. Probably one of my best moves ever was bringing in a starter. TJ Bailey was the first official starter of OSCR, and that was the biggest relief.
Okay, now let's talk about him a little bit, because I know TJ is a great dude.
Yep.
It is, in NHRA, big show drag racing, the starter is his only domain is to control the flow of the race and the starting line itself, and to allow somebody down the racetrack, right? And I'm not minimizing the job. It's a very hectic job and a lot of work. But in like Outlaw Streetcar Reunion and your types of events, and in the radial world, that starter is also sort of, your head prep consultant. He's your prep observer, I guess, right? He's the guy.
He's your eyes.
Yeah, he has to be the guy to make the call that it's time to spray, right?
Correct.
If it needs to happen at a time outside of your normal schedule. So it's the fact that TJ is, because he's a really good prep guy himself. I mean, he's prepped a lot of races where he is not only the starter, but the head of all prep, and rides the tractor and sprays and does everything.
Yep.
Is that why you trust him so much?
100%. At that time, I was trying to run the event from a race director standpoint.
Yep.
I had good people in the computer. It was kind of funny now, but hired a kid straight out of high school, 16, 17 years old. When I was at the manager position of Memphis, I was actually drag strip manager at Memphis and put on the event there.
Right.
Hired this kid named Gavin Carter. He came in, started running the computer. The funny part is now he's my competition timing system director at PDRA.
Right.
So it's like he's been with me from there to now.
Yeah.
And I mean, proud to have to people like that. TJ, same thing. He came in, started taking over starting line. Now it's like you don't feel like you have to be down on the racetrack 24/7. You can trust this guy to go jump on the radio and say, Tyler, you need to come down here and look at this.
Right.
This is what I would do. What do you want to do?
Agree or disagree.
And have that, as much as it's, yes, you have a great hands and feet on the ground, it's that mental, you can just turn it off.
Right.
You can go in the tower and jump on the microphone or go say hey to the media crew, do whatever you want to do. And
you come say hi to us?
Once or twice.
Shit.
He's not too good. He's just not too good.
But you could go and just say, I can chill out. I don't have to worry when X275's on the line because TJ's going to say if something's wrong. And that went so far with me progressing as a promoter, progressing even as a drag strip manager, to trust the people that you put in those spots. As it grew, there were skilled professionals on the starting line, in the water box, staging lanes, tech. I mean, by the end of that event, every key component was ours. We brought in skilled professionals.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Yeah.
I feel like those were some of the best, if not the best, people in that position in the sport of drag racing, and you combined it all into one team for one weekend. And I can honestly say the last time that we got to do that, I'd had zero stress until it rained. But at that point, it was great.
Yeah.
You were able to trust people, and that makes you better at your job at that point.
Dude, we have our next special guest is pulling into the beams right now.
Literally.
Yeah. Jerry Morgano. Are you familiar with Jerry, Tyler?
Man. Hey,
Man.
that's one of my projects, and I'm going to say this, and I hope Jerry hears it. For the longest time before he met me, he was 10.5 to the core. Puts radials on after he meets me, goes and wins a race.
And now...
Yeah, but then he turned around and put slicks back on and won Orlando.
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
I will say, I don't mind. Now, I'm going to say now, I was an OG 10.5.
Yes.
Like, Tim Lynch was the man when I was growing
Oh,
up.
I agree.
What, were you like 4 at the time?
Ian, give me a break.
Hey, I am with you, dude. I am with you. And more... Now, Jerry Morgano, welcome to the show, okay?
Dude, how's my hair look, Tyler? Nice, right?
Yeah,
Lovely.
it's better than mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not bad. I got some curls.
You do. Yeah, you got the wave going.
I mean,
Yeah,
1984 called and they want their Jerry curl
Dude,
juice
if
back.
Oh!
But I guess whatever works out for you, Jerry.
Dude, if I don't get a haircut, I look so fucking old because I got so much gray hair. I normally cut it so short you can't see that.
I don't even want to hear that.
Huh?
I don't even want to hear it. The girl that cuts my hair, the last time she saw me,
yeah,
she looks at me and she goes, "Sir, you have gray hair."
Right,
no.
Yes, sir.
How old are you, Tyler? 20 what?
27. She looks at me and she goes, "How old are you?" And I tell her, and she's like, I said, "Hang on." She goes, ask me what I do for a job. She goes, "Okay, what do you do for a living?" I tell her, and she goes, "It is politely okay for you to have gray hair." And she just kept cutting.
Dude, I look good with my gray hair, right?
At least you can say it's because of all of us drag racers and media guys who are causing you the gray hair.
Zach, I have a great
excuse. If I let this go a little bit more, it'll look like Chad's beard.
That's quite right.
That's not something to be happy about.
My beard was red until I met my late wife, and the kids came like red, and then literally it was like white. Hold on, let me go.
She's
kill the dog real quick.
She's obviously not in the room.
No. Okay, dog is shut the fuck up.
Heard.
I gave him a frozen T-bone, so he had to take him a little while to get. No, I'm kidding.
No, you're not.
If I did that, this son of a bitch would walk in every time we started a show and just start barking at me because he's smart like that. He'd be like, "Fuck yeah, dude, frozen steak, I'm in, dude."
I like
stuff.
that. Where's
all
my
right,
boy
so
Pooch so I can talk some mad shit?
no
on his ass?
Pooch, dude. Pooch was a fail because
Oh.
Pooch had pedal internet apparently. We have Todd Martin who's coming up in a little bit, but Pooch had pedal.
Really? I
Yeah.
quit.
So what radio guy do I get to
It's
queue up
Tyler
and
is our
get out
radial
here?
guy. No,
Oh,
Tyler is our
please.
radial
I'm
guy.
all they
First of
had.
all, he should start with a number 2 on his hat. That would be helpful, not a number 1.
Oh,
Hey,
Tell him, David,
At
that
one
radio
point-
shit gone.
dude. Okay, hold on. So
Look.
Jerry Morgano, you were a slick tire racer. Now Tyler says that he gets all the credit for you ever putting a set of radials on, but now you took that beautiful orange Mustang of yours, put a 10.5 on it, and are crushing records, dude. Crushing them.
Pretty much. I'm gonna take my little video for one little moment here.
Hang
to
on.
help.
hang on, it's slick tire time. Hang on.
Hang on.
Oh, damn. Damn.
He's going to trophy case.
Look
You
at
can
that.
See that right there?
386
that is all I need
with
to
a
say.
7, 202.73, bitches.
That's it
Yeah.
right there.
Dude.
That's
What's
it.
that?
No radial.
Two,
No radial.
202?
Here, I got
202.
a little bigger over here for you if you can't quite see that.
Got a little bigger.
How's that?
Hey,
Does that work?
that's still the medium-sized one. The big one is on the ceiling in the bedroom,
I
right?
was just about to say
Because
that.
I'm telling you what, I would be like, honey, just one time I want to do it while I'm
That's
looking
great,
at that.
right?
Just one time.
I
Like,
love it.
I promise I'll never tell anybody except all of my friends,
Oh.
but I'd like that to happen one
I
time.
told DeSoma today, obviously since we ran that race and found some big ass horseshoe in my trailer that weekend, I told DeSoma every time I talk to him, I go, Ann, I go, I'm a bad motherfucker. I mean, I got the video. I could send you the video if you want. He's like, I don't need to see the goddamn video again. I can send it to you if you want to see it. He's like, nah,
Okay.
just keep the video.
Hang on, I gotta ask. I gotta ask one question.
Go ahead.
Is that a real small block,
Oh,
or is
yeah.
that like a small big block?
No, that ain't one of them Nick Agostino cheating small block things. I got a real Ford crank in my motor, 10 head bolts. None of this cheating ass 900 bore space small block bullshit. Standard bore space, baby.
Yes, sir.
Ford,
Right out of the junkyard.
That's
Ford motor in a Ford, right?
Shocking, right?
Oh, there's a thought.
Yeah,
Shocking.
I know, weird. I didn't even know that those fit in there.
Yeah.
I mean, because didn't
You know where
New
you can
Edge
take that
cars
LS?
came with a Coyote, which means they're supposed to have a big block Chevrolet in it because it's smaller. And then if you want to go lighter weight, you put a LS in one. I mean, who in their right mind puts a small block Ford in one?
Yeah, I mean, especially because, this day, why would you just stretch the wheelbase like 38 foot long and put the pecker
Throw some
extender on the
radials on
front?
it.
Make it easy. Fuck
Oh,
it.
of course,
Just make it
yeah.
easy.
Okay, so Jerry, why is it that radial racing is just so much bullshit to you anymore?
Because it's easy. That's the biggest thing. But I'll give you a little.
You ain't never prepped one of
Well,
them.
I'm not on that side of the fence. That's all the talent is putting enough glue on the goddamn track to get these things to go down the racetrack. That's all.
And that's the opinion of a lot of people in racing. How many times have you heard it, Damon? How many times?
I mean, I'm gonna tell you this.
The only way a radial car is going down a track is if it pulls like 450.
Oh, at least.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's
I
at like
mean,
659
Oh,
feet.
hang
Let's
on.
be real.
Yeah.
Let's put that to bed right now. That little torquey meter thing that you stand on and think that it tells you something, I'm going to go out here on my brand new racetrack that's got 2 days of dragging on it with about this much glue and pull 400 and say, see, I told you those things should be called the Liometer.
Well, and let's face it, Tyler, you're right on one hand, but they're like any other tool that measures anything. Okay, is the only thing
And it's in the hands of a man.
well, the only thing that matters is that yeah, I see what you did there. The only thing that matters is that you consistently use it, right? You can't, like, if I use it versus you using it, it's going to be totally different. Guys here's the good one. Lazy fat people, I'm looking at you, Damon.
Wait, I'm
you
in-
and
I'm
me,
in there,
right?
too.
Yeah.
Especially
we
after
will
this
put an
last 2 months.
extension on that fucker so that we can stand up straight and just step on it and use it. Well, anybody that knows anything about physics knows that that long extension is taking up some of the torque. So the reading is going to be different than if you mounted the exact same ratchet down on the bottom and stood on it the same. So the truth of the matter is, like track temp, like any of those things, it all matters how you measure it and that you do it consistently and keep it for you. But because you pull 450 and I pull 525 and you pull 380, and none of that shit matters. You know what I mean?
Nope. I do have one thing to tell Jerry, though.
Show me one of these radial cars that has gone down a track and ran any number when it's 140 plus degree track temp.
Hang on. All I have to say is, you realize, look what time it is. Everybody take a second, look what time it is. They brought this conversation on when the sun was down. It is tailored to a radial.
Again, more bullshit that you have to do to get a car down the track.
Here's all it comes down to. I said it to Damon a couple weeks ago. I went to Orlando at the beginning of this year to test for Ducks Race. I made 6 laps on radials. The first time in my life I've been on radials. I didn't spin one time. Not one time. The first pass I put radial on my car, if I ran it out the back, would have run 390s.
Yeah.
What'd you lift?
Because I didn't want to run it past 300. I went to second gear and lifted. That was it. First hit, 390s. I'll give one of these radial guys $1 million if they can put 10.5s on their car and come run 3s.
Yeah, and here's the deal.
I need a radial car.
Here's the thing that I love all drag racing and I love radial racing. I love going and doing it and all that. But I think that it has its challenges not only from a performance standpoint, but from the standpoint of being fun to watch, right? So much prep going on, cars blowing the tires off and not making it down the track. That all makes it difficult. The other thing is, I don't know when this started. I don't know when people decided they wanted to be like a pro stock driver or a funny car guy. But if you need to be pulled in the beams when you are in a stock wheelbase, stock seating position car, then dude, suck it and quit racing. Okay, because guys in bracket cars are literally running a pair in less than a minute. In fact, if you're at Las Vegas, less than 40 seconds, right? So you need to be able to stage the car. I've driven pro stockers that have a giant scoop and were hard to see around, and I understand that a little bit more. But the truth of the matter is, any normal seating position car, you should be able to stage yourself. All those things that take so much time, it wouldn't be a big deal if every time the car left the starting line, it had the wheels in the air, was doing this giant wheel stand and looked like a badass. Yeah. But when you go through all that rigmarole and then it blazes the tires, dude, and the chassis are fucked. They ruined radial racing when they took wheel stands away. They ruined radial racing, right? Thank you, Tyler. Because
I'll agree.
When you flip the 4-link over upside down, you're just ruining everything.
I agree.
Don't do it. Okay? Separation like that is not your friend. I'm sorry, but if I want to watch real small tire drag racing, the original small tire drag racing, I'm going to watch NHRA Stock Eliminator. A 930-15 slick. Those cars, without any of the new cars, the original old stuff, 69 Camaros with big blocks, are running 9, standing on the bumper on a 9-inch slick. That is rad, right?
That's what that's what makes it awesome. That's really what makes it awesome. I can't tell you, after we left Orlando, I had so many text messages from people that I haven't talked to in years that, you know, some radial racers, some guys we race with, they put radials on their cars. And they're like, dude, I miss that kind of racing. Like, you carried the front end 300 feet, like not some crazy ass wheelie, but just, you know, 3 foot in the air, 6 inches in the air, and just gone. You're like, I totally miss that kind of racing. And it's true.
Dude,
I've said that for years.
I mean, I love radial racing too.
If we could put the rewind button.
If
we could put the rewind button on Outlaw 10.5 on like OG, like Huntsville Orska days, let me tell you something. That would be the class to watch. Fun. And because in my mind, I think that takes the coolness of a small tire because it looks real on the real cars, not the cars with the fender well. My head's the tire. Not those.
God, I hate that look.
But the OG real cars, that go out there and go 390s, 4.0s, whatever the ET range is, on a small tire that looks normal, hikes the front end up. That's just bad to the bone to me. That,
Tyler.
in my mind, is badass. But
Tyler,
my radio's still fast.
Holly Springs, when Fiscus took it all the way down the track, we need that stuff to entertain fans. If you're going to expect them to sit on their thumbs for 30 minutes of your track prep, you better put on a show afterwards.
Which brings the bikini contest back into the equation. You know, that's why Jason Miller just rocks it at MIR. You know,
it's
not the cars
at all.
No. Well, but here's one thing though also, and Tyler, you know, you just said like if they're running 390s. The truth of the matter is, if I took two cars out there that ran 5.0 in the 8th, like legitimate 5.0 cars, and they left the starting line, big tire, small tire, doesn't matter. They left the starting line, made good noises, wheels up, close drag racing, and I made the scoreboard say it was 390. The fans wouldn't give a shit. They don't know the difference. They don't care what the scoreboard says. They care about how close the drag racing is. And the reason you know that is because if two cars spin the tires and they have to pedal the thing, it could be a 16-second 8th mile drag race. And if it ends up this close, after all that shit, everybody's in love.
With chaos in the middle, that's all they give a shit about.
Absolutely.
The only time the records matter is when, you know, back shakedown days when, you know, Tim Lynch and Steve Petty would come every year and reset the record. People came just to see them set the record. You know, all the way.
But that's because of the location and the air and was the, like you said, it was that mine shaft conditions. Everybody knew that was going to happen. It became the persona of the event. And there are races like that in every sanctioning body, right? We all know that. But and I love Radial Racing, but man, I want to just shake people sometimes because I want them to stop doing some of the things because I think it makes it not as good as it could be. And so I think you're 100% right, Tyler. Like, let's hit the rewind button. Let's move back a little bit, right? And I think we could have some fun. And by the way, RVW should not be allowed to be called RVW anymore. Because it is no longer Radial versus the world. That's what it means. There's no fucking world anymore. It used to be Radial guys racing 10.5 guys, and now it's only a bunch of swinging dick Radial guys. I want a 10.5 guy to show up and hand them their ass at one of Duck's races, but you know what? You can't run unless you're on a Radial anymore. So where is the world, Donald Long? You made up the name, and I love it, but there's no more world anymore. So if it's going to be Radial versus the world, then let's have it be Radial versus the world. And now they're trying to do that with
Chad,
the COVID
it was Radial versus the world.
It
was Radial versus the world at Shakedown last year, and the Pro Mod smacked the shit out of the Radial car.
That's true. And that was the first place that they actually brought it back. And so, but Donald will swear nobody's ever done it before in their entire life.
I heard all the bullshit too. Well, our top guys were out. My dress was pink. I heard all the bullshit. What the bullshit is, the Radial cars got their asses handed to them. That was it. That's all it comes down to.
That was actually really fun on the track prep side. And nobody knows this. And I'm going to break the behind the scenes news on this one.
Okay, and then I got to kick Jerry off. Jerry, you're out of here. Because then I got to bring in Todd Martin. But go tell me my story, Tyler.
This was super fun because Jimmy Bradshaw prepped the Radial lane and I prepped the big tire lane. Nice. So behind the scenes on the radio, when a Pro Mod would win, I'm over there going, sure is quiet. It was fun. I've never had that much fun in my life. I just remember looking over and thinking, yep, I'm going to keep talking. And I'm going to remember why Jimmy's bigger than I am, has a lot of tattoos, and can take pain. Because if you got that many tattoos, you can take pain. I don't have a one. Yeah, I'm out. Then I realized I need to shut up.
I got a proposal for you real quick. So I know you guys got your deal at Shakedown with the Pro Mods versus the Radial versus the World cars. So I've been on both tires. Right. The 275 and the 10.5 tire, they're equivalent. I don't care what anybody says. They're the same. They're the same.
Hang on, the 10.5 tire being the slick?
The slick and the 275 are the cars will run the same. Okay. My car will run 370 something on a slick. It'll run 370 on that 275. No doubt in my mind. I got a little deal
Okay.
for whoever's on a 10.5 at Shakedown, myself and Tim Essick being 2, Tommy Morrow being a 3rd, and you guys are going to have the Pro 275 class there. So let's have a little mini World Series that night with Radial versus World Running Pro Mod. Let's take 10.5 against 275.
Yes,
That's
Jerry
it.
Morgano.
I'm in.
I love you more
I'm
now
in.
than I did before.
I'm all in on Friday night, whatever it is. But that's it.
Dude.
Hey.
Okay.
Hey. Whether it's one car or 4, I don't care. Let's do it.
Pick a lane.
I'm all in.
That's it.
Pick a lane. Now, see, that's what I said they should do. If they're going to do the real Radial versus the world, 10.5 versus Radial cars, and you should have to flip a coin for the lane. Not you. I love it.
Here's the best part. I'll go
I
down
love
the
it. Oh, by the
Radial
way,
lane
it's
on my
September
slicks.
16th to the
Well,
19th,
they say
Virginia
the
Motorsports
same.
Park. Shameless plug. Bam!
Yeah. Oh, no need. All right, Jerry Morgano, dude, thank you so much.
That's
You've been a
right.
great guest, and I hope that we can bring you back on another episode of Drag Racing Friends, because you know how to talk
got it,
smack
brother.
and still hang out with your boys, and seriously, I love it. Thank you so much, and congratulations on the record. Go set some more. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Jerry.
Thank you,
All right.
Jerry.
Be good, guys.
So he's been Damon, he's been Brian Loans, and your dream all in this episode.
I hope that's not my dream.
Oh, no, it's my nightmare, my friends.
Facts.
My nightmare. So,
This man said Donald Long.
Yeah, he had that earlier, actually. I forgot about that. Because that was before we started. He put Donald Long. I said, get the fuck off my show.
Zach gone.
Shut up. I'll end this motherfucker right now. I ain't afraid of shit. I want to get Donald on the show. But you're going to laugh at this because Damon will back me up. Keith Haney, that's even better. Damon and I had this conversation. We said that if we had Donald on the show early, because like Damon is hosting this episode and another one, and like we had Barrett Green, and I've got different co-hosts coming, right? But we said that if
I'm the only one worth a shit, but yeah.
Chad, don't tell him that I'm coming on next week.
I know, exactly. The thing is that I said if Donald was on and the show becomes a hit, well, it's because I was on the show. Like Donald will fucking take all the credit. And if we had him on the show and I disagree with him too much on that episode and he goes out and motherfucks us, then I got to listen to all that bullshit, and it won't be pretty because I will fucking fillet that guy. Like right the fuck now. So and you know better than any about, and I will say, you handled every bit of that bullshit absolutely perfectly.
Thank you.
You were way nicer than I would have been.
God, what's up, TM?
How are you, man?
Just
Todd Martin,
hanging in
did you
there.
see that Damon has put his name on the screen as Keith Haney? Hold on.
I was wondering what was up with that.
Hold on. Damon, you have to lower yourself in the screen more because you're too tall to be Keith Haney. So Todd and I talked last night for a while. It was good. Todd and I talk periodically, but I love going to the racetrack with Todd. Todd, I need you to send me a new Lethal Threat hat too, because my dad, who is a diehard Chevrolet guy to the core, bought a Lethal Threat hat a couple years ago, and he's been wearing it too much because we've been working on building the new shop, and it's all sweat stained and shit. It's all looking like ass. So he needs a new one. So I'll get with you and we'll get him a new hat. But dude, you're a crazy bastard. You've driven all kinds or ridden all kinds of stuff. Top Fuel motorcycles. You drive a Pro Mod. You did Pro Extreme. You're a big tire guy and a blower guy and loud, obnoxious, fun race car guy. Is that pretty well describe you?
Yeah, and a fuel.
Oh, and a fuel. I forgot about that. So this last weekend at Tulsa, at the Throwdown, which Tulsa Raceway Park, you're co-owner with Keith Haney there. You guys do a great job, as you well know. It's one of my favorite drag strips in the country. I love that place. It feels like home every time I come there. You guys are the best. But you blew your own door off this last week.
I did blow my own door off. It was like crazy. I didn't even know it was off until I turned off the return road, and I was just like disheartened because it was the last qualifier, and we just fought all weekend. And I'm thinking to myself, this door is going to be destroyed, because usually, like, if they'll shake off, and then they drag the corner off of them, it tears them all up anyway. But the door's just gone. I get to the end, and it's just gone. I'm thinking the worst. I let the guys pull the car back, and I was in one of my moods. I get in them, and it's best if I just chill at that time. So I walked all the way back to my pits from the shutdown, just trying to gather my thoughts, making sure that I wasn't going to blow my top. We had a lot of people there, spectators, racers, and it is, Tyler understands, it's very, very tough to run a race, and then I've got to like switch to race mode, and then I got to be dad and go be junior dragster dad back and forth. But anyway, I walk all the way back, and the door is sitting on the stand, and I'm looking at the door, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with it. There's not a scratch on it anywhere. The glass isn't scratched.
No way.
Decal's not scratched. Nothing is scratched. So it must have made
That's
a really
impressive.
soft landing somewhere.
That was more like a Jesus take the door.
That is
it was.
probably the most impressive story I've ever heard. If I had a door
was-
fly off a race car, there wouldn't be anything left.
No, and the funny thing about it is, the door flies off. I'm, broadcasting the race. He comes up for the next run. I zoom in on the door. The door's perfect. I'm like, how in the hell did this door come off? Like, the car looks really good. There's one hole in the hood, but that's a whole other funny story. But it's from the inside out, which is great. It's awesome. But the door is perfect. I'm like, how in the hell is this? Then Todd and I start talking about the fact that Daddy Dave lost the hood off of his car. It goes flying through the air. It lawn darts into the ground on the side of the racetrack in the soft dirt. Didn't hurt it at all. Dave tells Todd, yeah, the hood was perfect until my idiot crew guys threw it in the bed of the pickup truck.
God, that's bad.
Scratched it all up upside down.
My luck.
Oh, yeah. Well, so Todd, you've driven all kinds of stuff, but you are a hardcore pro mod guy. You have a great team. Like, I can't tell you how much fun it is to watch your team. I know you've said it multiple times, but this is like the best group of guys you've had in years. They are having so much fun together. They have so much fun working on the car with you. And that's the point. Like, you're not doing this to make money, obviously. You're doing this to have a good time. But when you pull up to the starting line, dude, you're on kill every time.
Well, I mean, I do have a good group of guys. They do want to have a good time, and I want to have a good time. I've been through all the chasing the points across the country on motorcycles and Pro Extreme, and it takes a little bit of the fun out of it. I'm really enjoying the Midwest Pro Mod Series, being able to go out. I mean, we're serious about it, but I've learned a lot over the years that it's not life or death. But it is serious when you get inside the car, man. I flip the switch. It's like when I shut the door and everything else, it's just like going in a different mode. And when I get out, well, sometimes even when I'm in the car, you know this, if it gets in a I go back into racer mode and I'm trying to sell beer and make sure that all my fans and spectators are right. But really, when the car door is shut and the motor fires up, I go into a totally different mode. Tyler can contest to that too. He knows what it's like to have to wear so many hats and jump back and forth. But, I'm not a big glue guy like Tyler is. Tyler likes to glue everybody to the track. I like everybody to run down the track.
Man.
Yeah, so with that said,
Hey,
as the
hang on.
guy that
Tyler's
wears...
gonna get
Hang on.
burst on the track.
In my defense, when you raced at my race, there was enough glue on the track that it held the door on.
Yeah, it had enough glue on the
kid.
track to hold everything on. I mean, it's Tyler is really good at the dough prep deal, but I mean, how hard is it? You just like keep pouring glue down, pour glue down, pour glue down until the cars go down the track. I mean, that's really what the prep is.
Oh, 100%. I had a Radio vs. the World guy tell me one time, he said, hey, man, I got the tune-up in the car. I'm ready when you are. I'm like, well, the racetrack's been open for 2 hours. He goes, no. When the racetrack comes around, the tune-up will go down. I'm like, whoo, all right. Do I get a tuning fee with that or what?
Wow. Well,
Tyler,
now,
you know
okay,
I'm teasing
so
you
Todd,
there, man. But I don't even know why this. Like, so they're at we've had plenty of drag radial races and so on and so forth, and Tyler's had them too. And I don't even know why these guys come up on radials when the sun's out. I mean, there's never been a record set on a radial car when the sun's out. They come to the track and they cry during testing and like, man, you got to put more glue down. What are you going to do that lane? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, the minute the sun goes down, they're setting records every pass. And Tyler knows this too. And I just find it hilarious. I'm like, y'all just need to be nighttime racers. Don't even come out if the sun's up.
I'm just going on the record. I did go 363 at 205 last year at Shakedown in the heat. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult. Let's go with that.
Yes. Okay, so here's the funny thing to me. So Todd doesn't know that Jerry said the same thing when he was just on. All of that. That's the greatest part about this. Now, the thing is that Todd only runs Pro Mod now, right? Although I watched you drooling over the motorcycles running down the track. I know you want to get back on a bike. That's dangerous. I ain't in. But Keith Haney, he drives both. Like, he'll put radials on the car and switch the 4-link over upside down and all these things.
Let's define drive.
Fair point. We all know that Keith is too short to look over the hood, so he just closes his eyes and lets go of the button, right? But if as Damon does his best Keith Haney, Keith is going to kill us all. And I'm only making fun of his height because you do all the time, Todd. But you do it on the mic. It's the greatest thing ever. Yes, exactly.
The best one I think I ever saw was at a throwdown. I'll never forget it because Chad was live. And Todd does his normal, I'm going to point at seat G on row 46, and I'm going to throw this Frisbee, and it's going to tap the tower, but I'm going to put it in that guy's hand. But right after he did that, he takes the microphone, and he's like, all right, I'm done. I'm going to go throw Frisbees. And when he handed the microphone off, he didn't go across. That son of a gun went down. I lost it.
Oh, yeah. Dude. But you do have to give credit where credit is due. Keith Haney never misses a beat. He don't care. It cracks me up because it's like my buddy Crosby, who's probably 5, 6, or 7 or something like that. I don't know. I'm not tall, so I don't give a shit. But Crosby, when our buddy Jay makes fun of him for being short, Crosby goes, hey, my feet touch the ground just like yours. but would you ever get in a radial car though, Todd? I mean, do you even care? Would you ever put a set of radials on the Lethal Threat Mustang?
Yes, because I heard that they're going to make a Top Fuel radial pretty soon. So then I would put one on my car. But I'm kind of like Tim McCamus. When you take that little tiny tire and you put it in that great big wheel well, something's just not right about that. This kind of goofy looking, But I'm hearing they're making the Top Fuel radial.
They put me on here as the radial guy, and I'm sorry, but like, I'm the LDR guy, like, where our stuff still fits. But like, man, I'm sorry, it just I can't. I'm gonna stop.
Well, and I'll tell you, if you go completely out of it from the look perspective or any of those things, I believe it's dangerous. And I'll tell you that, there have been several cars over the years that have crashed running a little bitty tire in a car that's designed to hold a giant, tire. I've been very vocal about it. I can tell you that, I've talked with different guys like Larry Jeffers, with Larry Larson, about the fact that I believe those cars should be required to have an insert in the wheel tub that makes the wheel tub area smaller so it catches less air.
No.
Because if you get one of those cars sideways and that giant, I mean, it becomes a parachute and they fly.
I will back you up on that. And the reason why I say this is I had the exact same thing happen. Yeah. I had the exact moment of, I think this could be a problem at Shakedown last year. Marcus Burt, car we all know. Car leaves, goes down the racetrack. It was in the heat. I'm going to go and say it. I had to get that in there. Went 363, 205. It was that run. It was Q2, I believe. I think it was Q2 Friday morning. Goes out, pulls the parachutes. Parachute sucks under the car, rips the brake rotor off of it, tears a carbon brake rotor to pieces, rips the rear end up. They made the repairs, got it fixed, came back. But that's is that an aero thing? Is that because there's so much air in the wheel tub that's not made for
his chute?
Yes. It happened once that ripped the carbon brake rotor into a million pieces. The second time it didn't get it as bad. But it still wrapped around the housing.
No. Because I was shooting top end when it happened.
That was a good one. Like I had my top end guys down there, and he goes, "Hey, hold up, we got something wrong." And I'm like, and the whole time I'm going, a radial just went 363 at 205 in the heat. I know something's wrong. Like
right.
But he goes, no, there's parts and pieces everywhere. Well, I go down there, and we've got a buffalo blower and a mat and all that stuff. That I'm thinking, cool, I'll just shoot down there, grab a couple things. Maybe it ripped. Maybe the guy in the other lane ripped a blower belt. Who knows what happens? Get down there, and there's pieces of carbon brake rotor everywhere. And it did.
Wow.
And they missed. I think they missed a session of qualifying getting it back together. Crazy deal. I'd never seen nothing like that with a radial car. But that goes back to that argument that you said, is the little tire creating an air pocket in that wheel well.
Right. And I think that if everything's going right and it's going dead straight down the racetrack, it probably isn't upsetting the aerodynamics of the car itself. But I could totally believe that it, is screwing up the aero that's back there for, the parachutes. But you get that thing a little bit sideways and the air starts going into that wheel tub. And what people don't understand is that the wheel well that you see is considerably smaller than the wheel tub that's up there. I mean, the tubs in your car, Todd, are 40-inch diameter or more, right? Because you're running a 36-inch tall tire on that thing. I mean, that's a big, giant-ass wheel tub.
Yeah, they're big. And, one thing I can say is that the radial cars, of course, the setups are totally different, and they are the toughest on parts in any class. Not top fuel, not pro stock, not pro mod, not funny cars. But when Keith went to first doing this radial deal, and I was hanging around and watching what Brandon was doing, Brandon Pez, great tuner, great driver, and he's had problems in a radial car. Keith's had problems in a radial car. And when you look at it, and everything is dead hook. I mean, it's either going or it's not. There's no in between. There's not a slap pedal and go. It's hooked up from the very beginning all the way to the end, and sometimes too much, as we've seen them blow over backwards. That tells you how hooked up they are. But I've never seen a class so hard on transmissions, torque converters, rear ends, drive shafts, and crankshafts than radial. Because I mean, when they're stuck, they're stuck.
I think it's funny to say that because everybody looks at Pro Mod as being so aggressive and so gnarly as far as the door car categories go. But the truth of the matter is that the science of getting that power to the ground and getting it down the racetrack has made that be a soft experience, right? Because there's this fine balance between getting down the racetrack, shaking the tires, or spinning the tires. But, I would say tire shake is probably the worst, and that's because it goes full hook to not hooked, full hook to not hook over and over again. So I guess, there's more truth to that than people probably realize, Todd, just because of how much, aggression is being thrown through every part.
Well, look, I mean, all the way back to the pioneers of drag racing until we get to the radial classes. Up until that time frame, everything spun the tire somewhat. I mean, back in the 50s and 60s, if you didn't smoke the whole quarter mile, you weren't going anywhere. You're horrible. You're not a fast guy, right? And as the years progress and the sport evolves, we're able to control that wheel speed, control that spin, so it's just not straight smoke. And then all of a sudden, this drag radial deal comes up, which the tire is, I feel, way safer than any slick, because just the construction, the way that it's made, it's a more durable tire. It's a safer tire, in my opinion. And I actually think that's why you hear rumblings, and I'm not joking around, that there could possibly be a top fuel radial tire someday. Now let's talk about that. What kind of glue would you have to have for that, and what kind of components you're going to have at 11,000 horsepower? I have no idea. I don't even know if it's possible at this point. They did figure out how to make a radial for a top fuel car. That would be a track that it would pull the top of the concrete up off of when the car went down.
Well, yeah, but I think what they're talking about is more radial construction rather than, and not the same radial construction as a 275 or 295 or 315. Because, like, there are radial slicks in all kinds of other sizes, smaller sizes for, NHRA stock eliminator, super stock, etc. Those cars, if you drive one of those cars on a radial versus a bias ply, it's incredible the difference going through the finish line. The car is so much more stable. It feels so good, all those things. But it still has a soft sidewall, not as soft as a bias ply, but still much softer than, say, a regular drag radial that we know now. So I think it would be something that's more of a hybrid, so that it still goes down the same kind of prep track, but it's got that safety and strength of the radial tire. But who knows? I mean, we'll see. And I think it's a great idea, because you don't ever see them chunking like you do with the regular slicks,
Well,
But
look at Mickey Thompson. Look at Mickey Thompson back in 10, 12 years ago, like when NMRA Real Street was running the small tires, everybody, because it was a manual transmission class, was running a stiff sidewall Mickey Thompson slick. That's essentially what we're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the thing that'll be interesting is the radial guys will say, look, it took radials to make top fuel.
I have to go back, and I was thinking about
I'm not prepping that.
And I have to say that I have been a radio guy. It was probably many, many years ago. I can remember when I first started drag racing, my very first car, we put radials on the front. We had slicks on the back, and they told me I couldn't do that because it was going to drive funny. But I've never known that. I mean, we used to run radials on the front and drag slicks on the back years ago. It used to be Volkswagen radials or bias ply tires or whatever. Not even speed rated to go as fast as we were going. But the tire technology's coming
wholeheartedly.
Tire technology's come a long ways, and track prep has come a long ways. And Tyler's one of the best in the business. We got one of the best with Jimmy Bowles at our racetrack, and of course Cookie. But there's gonna have to be a point to where the track prep is damaging the tire, and we have to be very careful with that. NHRA has backed off of their track prep and then moved it back forward again a little bit because people want to go fast. But at the same time, we can't be tearing tires plumb off of these cars, chunking them and so on and so forth. And it does happen from time to time.
Yeah, I agree. And it also it's hard on the racing surface itself. And both of you guys know that if you start, pulling the aggregate up out of the racetrack, you cannot patch that. It does not patch correctly, at least not in the important areas, which is where it's going to happen. You run a racetrack, Tyler, and you own one, Todd, and you guys know how that works. So, I think the debate of slick tires, big, small, or otherwise, versus radials is going to continue for a while. It is not only about the tire, but the style of drag racing has changed the landscape, and it has changed how drag races run, and mixing the two at an event has become a big juggling act. And I don't know that having them run their own separate events is really the right solution either. I think that Radial Racing is great, and I think it's awesome, and I love it in so many ways, but I also think that there are some things they need to take a look at to make the drag racing and the show itself better for the fans, because Todd, you know it better than everybody. It doesn't matter how great the racers think it is. It doesn't matter how great, the track prep guy thinks it is. Drag racing has to be something that the spectators are going to want to come see. No time in history has that been more evident than right now with what we're going through. Race fans want to come and enjoy the day with their family and friends, and they want to see close drag racing, and it doesn't really matter that it's the fastest in history. What matters is it's close and that they're putting on a great show. And Todd, you guys do a great job of that. Tyler, it's always been a pleasure working with you. You've done a great job of that. Damon and I do our best to make sure we're covering it and make sure that we're trying to portray how much fun it is.
I don't know if Chad really does.
Oh, I do. I do it way better than you.
Yeah.
Okay, a little better than
Shit.
you.
So the best thing about what the best thing about a big tire over a radial tire is?
What?
It looks better.
660-foot burnouts, smoking, just burning them all out. After one of my burnouts this weekend, Brandon came back and I said, he said, you was a little hard on the burnout that time. I said, yeah, but the crowd was loving it.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly right. I will say that.
You always do good burnouts, Todd.
So,
always. And I love it, and I'm glad.
So let me ask Tyler and Todd this.
Okay,
What's
last question, and then we're going to wrap it up.
All right. Frankie Taylor's record or the numbers that we're seeing in Radial versus the World right now?
I'll let Tyler go first.
Frankie Taylor's.
Agreed.
You want to know why?
Why?
Rule book didn't change for him to get it done.
Amen on that.
And
not only,
and that was
but
what, 2014?
also because, yeah, exactly, dude. It's been 6 years ago.
Rule book never changed.
And you know what's funny is the guy that talks the least about Frankie's record. Frankie.
Frankie don't care. Frankie wants to know what's for dinner.
Yeah. And when do we get to race? Dude, Frankie the Madman Taylor is awesome in all kinds of ways.
Well, I'm going to go.
What about you, Todd? You said, which is better?
I personally think the Radial is more impressive. I've been 52, 352 at 219 on my car, and I know what it took to do that. I know Frankie's been 48, and that is the world record, and it's awesome. But man, to go what these radial cars are going and all the different combinations they have and all the other stuff that's happening, I find that really impressive. Frankie did do that 6 years ago, and they're just now doing it today. But and times are different. But they are gaining on the Outlaw Pro Mod so fast because we've been pulled back. We're running 70% overdrive, 90% overdrive, whatever they are now. But I find the radial stuff very fascinating, and the numbers that they're running actually starts to get underneath my skin, thinking that they're getting so close to my class and to my record and stuff like that. So I do watch those guys over there. But that's pretty incredible what the radial guys are doing. And I love all the different motor combinations. It's not just blower, nitrous, turbo, pro charger. I mean, they've got everything over there. I mean, those guys are bolting on farm equipment if they think it's going to make it go faster.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the interesting things is that in the radial world, the body styles are easy to relate to. And the fact that there is so much variety definitely appeals to the fans. I think that's definitely a big deal. But, we're going to I can't believe the Big Tire Pro Mod guy went radial for impressive and the rest of us went Pro Mod. But, that's what this show is all about. We agree to disagree. We disagree to disagree, whatever. But we made it through. This was episode number 4 of Drag Racing Friends. Todd Martin, thank you so much for being a part of it. I seriously, personally appreciate it. You know how much I love you. You are a great dude, and I am so proud to call you a friend, and I appreciate all the support. Tyler Crossnoe, dude, thank you so much for being here. Like you said, the man of many hats, the man that is arguably as busy as I am, and maybe 100,000 times busier than Damon, and Damon Stanky, dude, thank you for being a co-host on this episode. I truly appreciate it. You're a good dude, and I will have you back on another episode.
I'm awesome,
for sure.
Is what I am.
And so modest.
I have to say,
with that said,
first time ever,
exactly.
Damon has been silent.
Good point. And on that note, we're out of here. Drag Racing Friends, episode 4, done. See ya.